I know I'm white, but don't stop watching just because of that. Give me a second. So, pardon the provocative title of this video. I know I'm just a white guy, and I am addressing the African American community, but I am addressing you as an American to Americans. I do want to take race out of this, and the whole concept of getting reparations is, in fact, a continuation of slavery. Let me unravel this. Let me elaborate so you understand what I'm basically saying to you. The progressive Democrats have been battling all forms of conservatism for a long time. But right now, what's kind of been coming out over the last few years is that conservatives, and particularly the Republican Party, has historically done a crap ton more for African Americans and the freeing of slaves than the Democrats ever have. In fact, when we finally, Abraham Lincoln emancipated the slaves, it was the upset Southern Democrats that formed the KKK. This is all verifiable historical fact. Okay, so basically in today's world, the Democrats do not want to lose their voter slave class. And that's why I titled this, please get off the plantation, guys. Right now, if you are making any kind of substantial amount of welfare from the state and you are voting Democrat because you are under the impression that they are the ones that are guaranteeing that money to you, then you are sorely mistaken, for one. For two, you are basically part of a block of voters that they require to stay in power, and they're desperate to keep you asleep, not paying attention. They want you to stay on their voter slave plantation. That is what they want. So this is why today, for the first time ever, we're taking actual paying of reparations seriously, because the progressive Democrats on the left are scared of losing you. So they're so scared of losing you to the fact that if you actually look at all the facts and take all the emotions and the mainstream media news and what the propagandists at CNN and MSNBC, you name it, what they're saying, you know, if you're not listening to them, if you're not watching the news, and you hear some of what actually, what Trump has actually done for African Americans in this country, you'll see that he's done more for this country than any president since Abraham Lincoln. Let that sit in. Let that sink in. Okay? That's pretty crazy, because the left just keeps calling him a racist nonstop. But there hasn't been a president that has actually helped African Americans specifically and tried to make sure and do something for African Americans other than Donald Trump since Abraham Lincoln. Not even Barack Obama. Okay? So, with that knowledge now, take into consideration that the left is pushing so hard on every mainstream media outlet. And this is why I'm making this video, is because I just heard literally on the radio that basically they're heavily considering reparations right now. Like, it's really being considered. And it is just so blatantly obvious to me, because I'm a historian myself, that what they want from you, if you are an African American specifically, is for you to vote Democrat until you die. And hopefully you will convince your kids to vote Democrat, because when you raise your kids, someday they're going to start having their own ideas. And if they, for whatever reason, say anything that's anti-democratic party, then you're going to be like, whoa, 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 hey kid, they paid me $1,000 when I was XYZ years old, and I will never say anything ill about them till the day I die, because they gave me money directly. That's what they want. This is not reparations for slaves that died before you were born. This is not for your grandparents. It's really not even for your great-grandparents. It's for you. They want to keep you on the plantation. Now tell me, do you think getting money from the state, from the Democratic Party, is really going to be any kind of sustainable income that you're going to... I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. $1,000 or whatever amount of hundreds of dollars, it's not going to be more than $1,000. I can guarantee you right now, there's too many African Americans in this country for the reparations to be more than $1,000. So it's going to be somewhere in the hundreds. Is that amount of money worth basically becoming a voter slave for the rest of your life? Is that what it's worth? Your votes for the rest of your life? That's what they want. This is a mind game. The Democrats are fucking with you. It's so obvious to me. I'm sorry. I just, this has been happening, and the radical, crazy legislation coming out of the left right now just keeps getting crazier and crazier to me, and so I just have to call it out. And I just want to speak out to my fellow Americans that, guys, this is continuation of slavery. This is not like I'm sorry. No, this is a continuation of slavery. They want to keep you on the voter plantation, and it is just so immoral that they are going after religious institutions now to try to push this. That's what's been going on most recently, that they're trying to push this through now religious institutions, saying that this is a moral thing to do. We have to do this. Okay? Lastly, if you have any doubts about anything I've said on this video so far, I strongly encourage you to look into the African American Hotep community. Now, I've looked into African American communities for some time, because I realized, even when I was almost 10 years younger, that in today's world, African Americans are suffering because of some form of racism in government. What is that? What is it? And really, it's not the elected politicians that have anything to do with this. What it is the deep state. The deep state is racist. The deep state is after you. I've read a great number of books that have made this plain and clear. Most recently, I finished a book called The CIA as Organized Crime by Douglas Valentine. Great book. But in the early days of the CIA, guys, they would not let African Americans into any position of authority. And excuse me, but they were recruiting them like crazy during the Martin Luther King Jr. and the Malcolm X days, because they wanted to get radicals to form a certain number of groups. They actually were pushing Islam into African American communities. And they were doing that so that they could target African American communities as being radical or dangerous. They are pushing drugs specifically into African American communities. We know that thanks to the documentary and book called Kill the Messenger. Check it out. This is all facts, guys. These are facts. So the CIA and the deep state, namely, they are racist, and they're still around today. Hillary Clinton herself, one of her great mentors, was a KKK chapter founder. He was a Grand Master, and you can find footage of her saying she looked up to him like a father figure and a great mentor. She also is a great fan of Margaret Sanger, who was extremely racist. She founded Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood, if you didn't already know, is extremely racist, because all of their original chapters or centers, they're all in like African American communities. Okay, so this is not some mystery, guys. If you just look through history a little bit, you'll see that yes, our government is racist, and it still is today, and they're trying to find ways to use and abuse African Americans. But right now, all they really care about are your votes. That's all they care about. And as long as you're staying on the plantation, the welfare plantation, you're just a voter slave. So I encourage you, your life is worth more than a few measly dollars. Get a job. You can earn that money if you just are willing to work, okay? And life is so much better when you know that you and your ideas have meaning, okay? And I could elaborate, but I won't. I'll keep it short. Thanks for watching, guys. And again, if you have more questions about how African Americans have been used and abused throughout the eras, the Hotep community has answers. There are some smart people in the Hotep community, and sadly, I don't know, I forget the name of this one particular YouTuber, but he's kind of a leader right now in the Hotep community. So I encourage you guys to look into that, to hear it from other African Americans that might be more knowledgeable about it than even I. So hey, if you've watched this and enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I am not racist, although I speak the truth about many things, and I can guarantee you the radical progressive left would call me a racist, but I am not, and I really just want to see America succeed all together as a country together and not divided like they want us to be. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.